What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Thursday, February 22nd of 2024? Episode 112 coming to you. And, fortunately, Dennis Rodman was able to go over, talk to the North Korean leader, go to China, smooth things over. And, David, you were able to be brought back from China for trying to start the revolution in Hong Kong. What was it like being interned in China?
Well, I didn't hear a damn thing you said because right now I'm checking my email and I'm being reminded that I need to do taxes soon, and now I'm a little unhappy.
I mean, you're useless. I hate you. Anyway, but yeah, David's back, if everyone could tell. He's here. He decided to play hooky when we were talking to a congressional candidate because he sucks. But he's back. Dave, how are you? How was your week off?
I'm okay. I'm all right. This has been way too busy of a month. I'm ready to not do anything ever again.
Yeah, no, you were whining about how our family plans everything for the month of February, and it does, and it continues because we're going on a little family vacation tomorrow. We're not going to disclose in case people want to murder us, but we are going to go somewhere. So
I might accept that deal, honestly.
You might accept that fate.
Yeah.
you're going to become a goth girl out of this. Like when you fully go trans,
you know how much money I could make if I am a goth girl on the internet. Are you kidding me?
Gotta be a big titty goth girl. It's gotta be. You got to look like the one from Danny Phantom. That's what you got to do. Anyway, as always, we're going to have a great show today. If you like what you hear today, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify, and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. So a little bit about last week's show. Obviously, sans David, so it went really well. We had a congressional candidate from New Jersey, Billy Prempe, on, and it was a awesome show. He's somebody that everyone should support, even if you're not from Jersey. If you have a little bit of change to give, send it his way. Go look up his website, donate. Give that a listen because he has a really good time to really present his case on why he should be in Congress. So we had a really fun conversation. Go back and give that a listen. But this week's an episode that I'm excited to have. It's been an episode that's been a pretty long time coming. It kind of started off as like a one-off, like, hey, have us on. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I don't think these gentlemen thought I was serious, that I was like, hey, I want to have you guys on. And then it came here. There was a little bit of topsy-turvy, but we're here. And I'm pumped. It is Danny and Giuliano D. They are two just, regular American guys, see the bullshit going on, concerned and ready to let it on out. Boys, what's going on, man?
What up, Alex? How are you, brother?
Mr. Alex, pleasure to be here, brother. Thank you for having us, man.
Absolutely. We're going to have some fun. We're going to, let it all hang out, have a good time. And I know Danny was talking to me earlier today and he's like, can I curse? And I'm like, of course you could curse. Like, this is a podcast. What do you think this is? Like, no one, FEC ain't listening to this. Maybe not.
Oh, dude, this is my first time on here. I don't know how I sound, how I look. I don't know. I wasn't sure.
Everything's a thing of beauty when it comes to you, Danny, okay? It's all a thing of beauty. And here's the thing. We are launching from today, David, I don't know if I told you, I am going to force Danny and Giuliano to do a show after this called The Daily Danny. Because when you guys get a load of these two together, you're going to want more. And I already created a logo and everything. And so it's there. Danny's shaking his head. But I like to compare Danny to like an Italian Alex Jones. So it's amazing. So we're going to have fun.
I mean, we seem to be, I guess to people on the not people on the outside, but to everyone else, I guess we can come off as kind of like an odd couple type thing where you have the Oscar, the fuck was that guy's name? Oscar and I don't
know the odd couple's names.
The odd couple.
I get it. I know what you're talking about.
That was a good show, dude. So anyway, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, you know what I mean? We can come off. We're like complete opposites in the sense where like I got all of my dad's genes, which is just fat, tall, not hairy, ginzo, sausage, and my brother got all of my mom's genes, which is just short, more reserved, more quiet, more, penitence. So, people see us in the street and they're like, what the fuck's going on here? This is like Robin Hood Little John over here. You know what I mean? So I can see.
I did not know you guys were brothers. When I first met you two, I had no clue. Like, you guys don't look like brothers. And, it's awesome. But it's like, we have conversations all the time, and I'm just saying, like, and you just gave me an idea. The intro music for the Daily Danny should be like a variation of the Odd Couple. Like it should be like a variation of that. Like, so like it doesn't get taken off, but we'll find something close enough.
Something close enough to resemble the Odd Couple, because that's exactly kind of how we are. Like, in the sense where I am. What's the right word here? A little more disorganized, a little more, shit rolling around in the car. You know what I mean? I'm a full ashtray in the car type person. My brother, his car is spotless. It's armor-all. You can see your face in the dashboard, and I'm just like, shit's falling out of the door when I get out. I got 5 bags of empty Whopper boxes and things like that in the trunk. It's
very similar to David and I, because David's more reserved and he's kind of here on the show. He gives his piece, but he's here on the show to make fun of me when I say dumb shit and I'm wrong. And he'll just like stop and correct me. And it is all the time. But then sometimes he lets me fail. And then like I'll go back and listen to him and be like, I was dead wrong. And he's just like, yeah, I know. Like, you're an asshole. Like, you're supposed to be Googling it. So, Giuliano, I'm going to give you a chance to get in a word in edgewise. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. And I'm sorry, guys, by the way, but I've been muting myself every time I have a call, but I've been coming back from a wicked, I don't know what the fuck I had, guys, for the past like 10 days. My brother will tell you,
you didn't take the medicine.
Yeah, it's I had something that fucked me up, but I've been feeling better. I've been feling good, but I still hack up a lung every couple of minutes. So please bear with me. But no, man,
drink a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's been good to be here.
You don't want to take medicine, Big Al. Disgraziato. I told you, take the medicine. Take the Alka-Seltzer. I don't want it. See what happens? That's
how it goes.
So we're gonna jump right in. We're going to talk some current news, because if you want a little bit of what the Daily Danny is going to be, it's going to be little snippets of current news stuff. So we're going to roll with that. So I want to start off today, the 22nd. There was a legitimate cyber attack that happened on one of the major companies in America. AT&T had a cyber attack, and the whole network went down, and not just cell phones. It was also, any networks, like there was a bunch of pharmacies that were reporting that worked through AT&T that they had their shit down. And it's concerning, right? Because when you're going into that level, it's not that it's just locked down. These people are going in and hacking. And I can't wait for the report from AT&T when they send out the thing to their customers. There was a hack, but we promised, we did our best to save your information. And that just means like China has it. And
absolutely,
you're fucked more than normal. But in AT&T's defense, 99% of their people use TikTok anyway, so they're already giving it to China. So it's like, it is what it is. But so, G, I'm going to let you start off with this one, because I know Danny's going to have his say. Who do you think did it? And like, what do you think happened? Like, how did this happen? Like, how could something like this happen when we know this shit's going to happen at some point?
I mean, I think you hit it right on the head just from the get-go. And, it's funny because I said this earlier, I don't think we're never going to know who the fuck really is behind it. Even if, which I'm sure the government already knows, our top people in the sector, I'm sure already have an idea, right, as to who can maybe be behind it, and maybe they don't know who it is definitely yet, but they're definitely going to know soon, right? Yeah. And I think personally, regardless on whoever did it, we're not going to know shit. AT&T will brush it under the rug and blame it as we were resetting our servers, right? Or we were resetting this, and who the fuck knows, bro? I think it was definitely a cyber attack. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a cyber attack. You hear about people we've been saying for I don't know how many years now that we are completely underprepared in the event of a cyber attack to our grid, to our 911 operators. I mean, that I heard took a hit today too, and it is scary. It is really scary. Whether it's a terrorist kind of thing, it's a threat and it's serious. And even if it was as they say, a software glitch or error, whatever. I think it's still alarming. You know what I'm saying? This morning we heard it was a solar flare. Now 10 hours later we hear it's a software glitch. I mean, people are not that fucking stupid, you know?
And I feel like it might be more terrifying, right? Because if it is a solar flare, how do we not have fail safes? Like, we know these things occur, and I've been hearing about things like this too. There's been people talking about if we get a strong enough solar flare, it can affect the electromagnetic spectrum and things like that and really hurt it. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, where's our overload button? Where is our reserves? Where is there should be something there to try and prevent this if we know it's coming. Dave, you look like you have something to say. I'm going to let you jump in.
Oh, no, I was going to say I disagree with one singular thing you said at the end there, Giuliano, and that's people are that fucking stupid. We have to remember where we are on this earth and what people act like. So
That's true. No, you're definitely right. It's just freaky, man. And it looks fishy. I'm sorry. I don't, no matter which way they may want to spin it, to me, the first thing anytime I hear something like this, you immediately jump to the conspiracies. And, a lot of these conspiracies, you're almost afraid to go down the rabbit hole because you don't know what the fuck you're going to find.
The new thing is with the conspiracy, you wait 2 weeks and now it's fact. Like, that's what it's been lately. Like, you have a conspiracy, you wait 2 weeks and it becomes real. So, Big D, where are you at on this? Who do you think did it? And what do you think the ramifications? What are the repercussions of what's going to happen after this?
I mean, here's the deal, right? I had an interruption this morning, pretty much for the entire first half of the day. Yeah. My mom, who's actually down in Florida, South Florida, also had the same interruption. We're all on the same network, so she also had the service interruption. I read from an article that was posted on Fox about 2 hours ago that AT&T had claimed that it was just an outage in certain sections of the country. And clearly that wasn't the case because I had no service. My mom on the other end of this country down in Florida, South Florida, had an interruption. I also read on there that there were several police departments and emergency first responding services that didn't have service. There was something in writing that I read that so AT&T has a first responders network where I guess if you're a first responder, police, EMS, fire, etc., you basically qualify to be on their first responders network, which I'm actually a court officer, so I'm actually part of that network. Yep. And I read on there that those lines were not disturbed, but it didn't happen for me, and I'm on that network. So clearly that's a flat out lie. I can debunk that flat out right from the get-go here. So, I think that this was definitely a cyber attack of some sort. I think whoever did this, again, I don't think it was the Russians. I mean,
it's scary though, because Putin did say a few months ago, World War III is going to be fought. What was it? I think maybe a year or so ago. It's going to be fought in zeros and ones. Like, he put it out there that World War III is not going to be bombs. It's going to be zeros and ones. Like, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think this is Russia because I mean, they might do it because Joe Biden might not be there for much longer. So they might try and get everything they can now, but I don't know. I don't know who. It definitely feels like a cyber attack.
Listen, it smells like a fish. It's wiggling like a fish. It looks like a fish. It's a fucking fish. I mean, let's be real here. Right. Okay, this is a big mouth that just jumped in our fucking lap here. Exactly. And definitely a cyber attack.
And why beat around the bush? Why go through all the bullshit of having to explain, oh, maybe it was this. Why don't we cut to the fucking chase? We could really get down to who it actually was,
AT&T got handed a hot fucking boiling potato in their hand. They didn't know what the fuck to do. They tried to restore service as soon as they could. And right now they're just snowballing and just buying time to come up with whatever formal excuse they're going to give out. I mean, even the White House press secretary, whatever her name is.
Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, whatever her face is.
She diversity hire.
A statement that she's, of course, definitely. If she wasn't, listen, we all know what the story was. If that, if it wasn't the diversity hire, she would be at ShopRite, fucking collecting the cards. But let's be real here. But You know,
Might not be able to do that.
she made out a statement that we were going to get to the bottom of it, but right now we have no concrete answer. And it's like, what? Like, this is 12 hours later. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Come on.
And and the thing is too, and like you said, I don't think it's AT&T trying to figure it out. It's the government going to AT&T and telling them what they're allowed to say. It's more of like what they're allowed to say, what they're not allowed to say. And AT&T would definitely try to cover their ass anyway. But I guarantee there's things that they see right now that they could, tracing back IPs, going through like where the VPNs originated from, because they're all using VPNs with these cyber attacks and things like that. So, but people are good about getting to trace those. That's why you have hackers that work for your government, right? So but our issue is, now, I don't know how true this is, because there's a lot of government agencies that people come out Congress and saying we're far behind when it comes to cyber stuff. I don't know how much I believe that, because it could be a situation where they're just trying to throw people off, right? Where we're not that far behind. They just don't want everyone to know where we are. So we could be right up there with everyone else in terms of that. But we also could be caught with our pants down, because we had, what was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Virginia had their electric grid attacked. Now we have this with AT&T. And we've seen things going on with this. We had the freaking Chinese balloon floating overhead, which they then tried to claim like, oh, this is normal. It happened 80 times under Trump. And it's like, the fuck it did. Okay. No, it didn't. Like, these people are just flat out lying because they suck at what they do right now under Joe Biden. So it's something it's crazy.
You remember the Continental Pipeline that they put that for ransom. They shut the pipeline down, the Colonial, whatever. I forget the name, not Colonial Pipeline. The
Nord Stream.
Well, Nord Stream blown up. That's the one that Americans blew up.
That we blew up in Russia, G. I'm talking about.
No, but I know what you're talking about. There was another pipeline that got held up for ransom by some military outfit.
Right. Yeah. And we paid, and they straight up told the FBI, you will not be able to figure this out. You will not find out who we are. So just pay us and we'll turn the pipeline back on. I mean, are we fucking nuts right now? Mm-hmm. I mean, and they paid them. If you look up the story, the ransom was paid to turn on our pipeline. I mean, we're sitting ducks, dude.
That's really what's scary.
It was the Colonial Pipeline, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, David.
Okay. Thank you. I think you were right. I think that's what you said.
That's what David does. David looks up stuff on Google. That's his value.
Man.
But if they could, what's scary to me, even like, okay, so the outage was for, I don't know. I don't even know how long it was, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours. Okay. And as bad as that is, right. And as damaging as that could potentially be, what's really fucking scary is that there's two things, right? I'm going to say as quickly as I can. The first one is, like you were saying before, we don't really know who it is. You said maybe it's the Russians, maybe it's the Chinese. It could have been an actual government, right? Or this could have been some off the grid, unsanctioned bullshit from. The reality is, bro, is that we all know what they don't always have to be young kids, but a lot of times they are. They're these kids with supercomputers out of a basement in Hong Kong or in Mumbai.
That post on Reddit and 4chan all the time because of Reddit and 4chan people.
They do a ping, right? And this could have been just a test. Like, oh, let's see how long we could get it down for. Let's see how much damage we could do. Let's see what they think it really is, And then the second thing that I was going to go into is that as damaging as cell towers and cell services, what were to happen if they were to hit our financial infrastructure or our electrical grid? Or what if they hack our nuclear facilities?
Or air traffic control.
Air traffic control. Yeah. Bingo. Exactly. That's another one. I mean, if they can hack our pipelines and our cell towers, you don't think that they could cripple our imagine how much more damaging it would be if they halted all credit cards for a day. I mean, we think, it might not be that big a deal, but that would fuck up the world on like a pretty big scale, I feel like.
And the thing is too, like, we've been so programmed to want safety, right? Like, because, Danny was saying, like, we paid for the pipeline. Like, what are we doing? It's because the government has programmed us like, oh, now we're going to be unsafe. We don't have something. So do whatever you can, government. Get people back to safety. And we saw that during COVID. because people were doing exactly what they were told in the name of public safety, and public health, which are bullshit. None of those exist. There is no such thing as public health and public safety. You can't guarantee that to your people.
Of course.
So it's like, and we're so trained on that, like you said, if an institution, any of these institutions that get hit, the peons, they already saw during COVID, we are going to beg the government, do whatever you have to do to get it fixed. Because we want it back. We want our luxuries back. We want our easy living back. We want our online banking back. Like all these things. And that's what makes, looking at this, I'm going to jump a little bit. It makes CBDCs more terrifying, right? Because at least right now, shit hits the fan. People have gold. People might have cash. People have coins. We still have things that we can go trade with, right? All the electronic stuff can go down. But if you have a stash of cash in your house, you could still go use that cash, barter, trade, do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. If we're all on CBDCs and something like this happens, AT&T has to have a ridiculously good security system as a major billion conglomerate that they are. Imagine if the government, which sucks at everything they do, is in control of digital currency. We could be fucked.
Alex, what is a CBDC?
Oh, so it's a presented central bank digital currency.
Oh, okay.
What it is, China already has it, where the Chinese government has converted the yuan over to a digital currency. And basically, since they use a social credit system, their social credit score counts for where and when they can use their money. And it was already tested. During the Beijing Olympics, no one was allowed to use their currency. Everyone needed to convert to yuan CBDC. America has already announced that they're going to play with an American CBDC. And there's been a huge pushback by people in the tech sector in the know, because us four sitting here, right? We're all on the right. We're all conservative. Someone like Joe Biden or people in the bureaucrat state that lean left that would run this stuff would sit there and say, Alex, David, Danny, Giuliano, you guys all like meat. I'm sorry, your CBDC doesn't work for red meat this week. You can only eat tofu. You can only eat what you want. You can go eat that bug burger that the World Economic Forum put. But that's what a CBDC is. It's a government, basically a digital fiat currency by the government. It's different than crypto. People think it's crypto, but it's X's and O's, and it's going to be on your phone, and it's basically and you're going to see how much you have. And you're never going to be able to have like actual liquid cash. It's all going to be X's and O's. And it's terrifying because something like this, a foreign government hacks our government. They could take all of our money. All of our CBDCs could be wiped.
Yeah.
So it's terrifying. Danny, you got anything on this?
I can't see this being implemented in places like Switzerland. I can't see it being implemented in places like Great Britain.
I think they're already talking about trying it. Great Britain wants it. Yeah. Great Britain, they're going to do a digital pound. They've already talked about doing a digital pound. And I think all the Scandinavian nations also through the World Economic Forum have, pledged to look into it. All the Western nations are starting to look into this.
They're starting to look into it. I mean, listen, they've been on the wrong side of the tracks for as long as I can remember. I mean, come on. I mean, the thing also, another thing that China is notorious for is devaluating their currency. So every time you get a little ahead, okay, oh no, the government just devaluated your currency, our currency. So now, the 50,000 yen that we had saved up, scrimped and saved, is now really only worth 30,000 yen.
Well, what I mean? Trump labeled them an international currency manipulator, right? That's one of the first things he did.
Yeah. Which is what exactly they are. Okay, that's exactly what they are. They are manipulators. They are, in my estimation, the biggest, I don't even know what the right word is. Not smugglers, but the biggest human traffickers on this earth, besides the Middle East, are the Chinese. And who specifically? The actual Chinese Communist Party and the top dogs in the manufacturing sectors of China that are in Nanking, that are in Beijing, that are in what's that other one, Jaipang or whatever it's called. They are the top dogs in the manufacturing that have these factories. They have these massive cities of just infrastructure where they're building things, everything around us, everything. Look, my toaster, Black & Decker, made in China. My refrigerator, components made in China. My table, this is a Raymore and Flanagan $4,000 cherry wood table made in China. I mean, everything is made in China. And who do you think is doing this? Do you think that these are middle class, good paying jobs that people are doing, that are building, the chairs that we're sitting on? No, this is basically intern basically slave labor. Basically,
Danny, they're not much older than our kids. Honestly, a lot of these things are not much older than mine and your kids that are starting to go work in factories.
They're indentured peoples. They are born into a life of servitude, of poverty. There is no forward mobility in the communist system. So it's either, it's the family. You are born into a wealthy family that owns something, or you're born into a working family that sits down, you put your head down and you work. And honestly, in my estimation, China is the biggest evil that this world has. China, the Chinese Communist Party is the biggest, flat out. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Close. I think they're as a government. I think as a government they might be, because they're still following right now. Xi is definitely someone that, like Chairman Mao, right? He's doing it different, but he's very much in a Maoist type of mind frame. But the Mexican cartels are fucking evil. Like, they are right up there. When you talk about smugglers and evil, sex trafficking is
the worst.
Booming for them. Fentanyl coming into this country is their fault, but flat out their fault that they're selling it. And the gangs that come through here are absolutely brutal. And it's like, to the point where our inner city gangs, when the cartel rolls into the inner cities, our inner city gangs, your Bloods, your Crips, your things like that, your Latin Kings from here,
nothing.
Shit, because they're so much more organized and it's scary. So, I agree with you, but there's a lot of evils going on a lot of way. I want to jump to something though that's kind of funny. David, you know a little bit more about this. Talk about the Google AI and how awesome the Google AI is.
So everyone's coming out with an AI. If you're in tech at all, you come out with an AI. Google came out with theirs now called Gemini AI. And, people decide to go on and play with it and see what it could do. And one thing that it outright refused to do was create white people. And this is not just, you put in white couple and then which it doesn't do. It'll probably create at least an interracial couple, maybe not even. It might just create black couples or just anyone who's ethnically ambiguous. But you could also just look in history and be like, George Washington, and it'll literally not give you George Washington. It'll just give you anything that looks slightly like George Washington, maybe with the hair, but they definitely have a darker skin tone. Same thing, you just look up medieval Frenchmen, medieval Englishmen. They will not be pale at all. They won't even get close to being pale. So that has gone around everywhere on the internet. And now Google has put out a statement, not even saying we're sorry that we made this AI just outright refuse to do this. But instead, they're saying that they basically missed the mark on being able to on doing this. They were going for something and they just slightly missed the mark. And I mean, the funniest thing is if you actually go in and you try to put in white person, I think it will refuse to do it because it might uphold some kind of bad things and it might offend someone. But if you go and put black person, it'll do it. At any time, it'll be fine.
So, Danny, as a very white man, how do you feel about Google AI basically hating white people?
I can't say I'm surprised, Alex. I really can't. I mean, in the last several years, just the shit that this country and the world has gone through in the wake of the George Floyd overdose, we'll call it. I sometimes I have to pinch myself because I think I'm actually dreaming. I mean, to blame a race of people for things that were done hundreds and hundreds and almost thousands of years ago at this point, to point fingers and it's reverse racism it's hate. It's
I
just
won't even call it reverse racism. It is flat out racism.
It's just flat out racism. You know what I mean? And you know, the fact that these huge media companies and infotainment systems are jumping on the bandwagon, like Colin Kaepernick when he was taking the knee in the NFL. Kaepernick, whatever the fuck that name is, that raghead, whatever his name was, that guy. The NBA with the Black Lives Matter solidarity, the Women's Olympics, whatever the fuck it is. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's ridiculous. The Black National Anthem. I mean, what is this shit? You know, I just don't get it. You know, I am not a racist person. I can tell you. I'm gonna be flat out honest with you guys. Okay, when I was 5 years old, okay, I went to a daycare, basically a daycare. You know, right before you go to kindergarten. I think that's called the daycare.
Yeah, like pre-K, yeah, something like that.
Right, pre-K. Okay, I was 5 years old. Okay, my best friend in this school that I made. Okay, his name was Russell Salerno. I'm going to do a shout out to Russell if he's listening. Okay, his mother was black from North Africa. His dad was Sicilian. Okay, and this kid was blacker than darkness. Okay, I'm talking. You see eyeballs, and that's him. Okay, in the dark. Okay, now this kid was my best friend all throughout. You know, the pre-K, elementary school, junior high school. We kind of parted ways. He moved, whatever, and I haven't had touch with him since. But this kid was my best friend. Okay, and to give you an idea, you know, when you're young, you know, again, you don't at a young age, you don't see color. You see it, but you don't see it. You don't see racism. Okay, and you know, the kid was my best friend, and you know, the thing is, it wasn't until later in life that you know you start to pick up, you know, vibes and racism. So that racism is something that, you know, you're not born with. It's something that you're taught. Okay. And it can be taught from both ways. It could be reverse racism, which is what we're seeing now with all this, you know, white is bad bullshit. Or it can be straight out racism, like, you know, shit that the KKK has been putting out and other, you know, racist, you know, bandwagons put out. But, you know, I think it's just nuts. You know what I mean? I think that they have control of the ball. You know, they're putting out the message that white people are bad. Yeah. You know, white people are the root of all evil in this country and others. And I think it's just garbage, dude. It's garbage, man. You're going to blame me because I'm white, because my son is white. You're going to say that, number one, you're going to call me privileged, white privilege. I mean, let's talk about this. What is this? What does this actually mean, white privileged? Alex, what do you think? When someone
I don't
says,
have to think. I've read the literature. What they believe is that because you're born white, that you have special values, that people see you differently in society. That just because you're a white person and you're walking around, you are viewed differently in society. When you walk into a store, you're viewed differently. When you go to apply for a job, you're viewed differently. And that the fact that your skin color, society has ginned you up, and it's nonsense. And I do have to say one thing. They might have a point now when it comes to slavery, because there's a video game named Power World where you can enslave humans. And there's probably been a lot of white kids now that have enslaved humans in Power World. So now officially, there have been a lot of white people in this generation that have had slaves. They might be digital slaves. They might be NPC, non-playable character type of things, but they're now slaves. So but that's white privilege, essentially.
But this whole idea of slavery, okay, let's talk about slavery. Who do you think when the Portuguese arrived in North Africa and in the Horn of Africa, okay, and started trading with the local kings and the local regime that controlled the coastline, okay, all along the Barbary coast and stuff like that, you know, and they were buying slaves to transport them in the triangle, the transatlantic triangle. Do you think the Portuguese and the French and the British, you think that they were running into the jungles of Africa and enslaving free people and transporting them for sale? No, they weren't doing that, okay? You know who they were buying those slaves from? They were buying them from the local chieftains in the area. These were the destitute, These were the enslaved peoples of the kings and queens of all the different regions of Africa, okay? And they were just trading them like they trade pigs, cattle, sheep. As terrible as it sounds, this is what happened, okay?
And Danny, the worst part is these people that talk about slavery all the time, it's still going on around the world. There are
And
places where slavery is occurring, and sex slavery is the biggest form right now, and it goes on for especially underage girls. It's massive, and none of these people that talk about that slavery say a word about that other slavery.
Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about in the Middle East how, you know, in specifically in India and in various parts of the Middle East, how they still have indentured servitude. Yeah. Okay. Don't talk about how many Irish were slaves around before the turn of the century. Okay, we don't, you know, there were slaves all over Europe, in France, in Italy, up until I believe it's like the middle 1800s. There were some people that were indentured servants that still had carried on from the feudal ages in Europe. Okay, so, you know, this concept that, you know, that black people were slaves and white people were slave owners, it's completely false. It's a narrative that's been painted by the left in America specifically to diversify people and to, you know, kind of part ways and to split people up. But this is something that's existed all over the world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Egypt with the Jews. Okay, you talk about the pyramids. The Jews built the pyramids. It's fact. It's dated. Okay, I mean, you know, up until when Moses parted the Red Sea and let the Israelites, you know, leave enslavement in Egypt. I mean, this goes back. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, this whole thing is just nonsense, really. It's just, you know, it's reverse racism, and it's just shit stirring is what I call it. It's shit stirring to make you feel guilty so you can make a donation to BLM, or you can put another $1 in a coffee cup of some hobo that's sitting on Route 9 by Walmart that's, you know, got a homeless sign that's wearing a pair of brand new Nike Airs. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Or that guy that stands in the middle of the Route 9 in the Scream costume or the Joker thing and just gives everyone the finger. That guy's fucking awesome. I see him all the time.
I swear.
Back one night, dude. I feel like, I mean, God forbid, I hope not, but
dude, I just throw him a hang 10 every time. I like him. I think he's awesome. He's saying what I want to say to everyone, man. If I could just, I want to see if I walk up there one day in, like, I don't know, I'll dress up as something and just join him and give everyone the finger. Would he attack me, or would he like?
That's like
he does carry a sight. He was carrying the sight the other day.
You know? He might be one of the weird motherfuckers that's like actually a real killer too, you know?
He got arrested the other day because he like harassed some Marist girls. Like, it was like a few months ago. Like, he was by Marist and like he like harassed them, and they called the cops, and the cops actually arrested him.
Yeah.
You know that there's an old man out there that, you know, I'm going to paint a picture. Just a 78-year-old man driving a big black Lincoln Town car, smoking 2 packs a day and smoking cigars, just getting drunk at fucking Mahoney's at 2 p.m. Got terminal illness. He's gonna go in 2 fucking months, dude. He's got nothing else to live for. He doesn't talk to his kids anymore. His old lady left him for a Jew doctor in Florida.
Why are you talking about my future, man?
Oh, dude, it's just a matter of time before this guy gets in his fucking car and starts driving Route 9 South and sees this fucking guy with a costume mask and literally puts it in maximum overdrive and just does Richie April and just fucking rams this motherfucker and turns him into a hood ornament. I mean, this is where we're going.
People are going nuts.
Oh, Danny. So, David, you had something to share.
Yes, I actually wanted to give some more context to what Gemini was actually doing, and then talk about that this is not just Google. This has been happening before. So real quick.
So good, Dave. You could share your screen there.
Yeah, I'm going to share.
If you don't suck, just do it, Dave.
Am I sharing? Okay.
Yeah, you're there.
So here's an image of a Viking that Google decided to show.
See,
and then, of course, you guys know the past popes.
Chain is hilarious. I love the one with Putin, the black Putin one.
And here's the Pope.
This is the way I look at it, right? I mean, to bring it back kind of to the subject, right? Like, it's fucking weird, Okay, everybody, and listen, it doesn't take a white guy to look at this or a white woman to look at this and be like, this is fucking strange.
Yeah.
I mean, any person with a brain can look at this and say, this is fucked up.
Yeah, and real quick, this is, I believe, the Bing AI. So with all these AI, they've basically been lobotomized by the people that make them in order for them to not do anything that goes against their theology. Their
That's
cult.
a good point, David.
So, and real quick, so this is a Bing AI, and for some reason they wanted to make everything ethnically ambiguous. So this is just literally someone put in people pointing swords at Homer Simpson, and Homer Simpson still with the yellow hand, but like a tanned Homer face, and it has ethnically ambiguous misspelled as a name tag on there.
And like we've all seen AI do some weird shit sometimes. Like it could get, like it could get weird. It could put a fucking dildo on a guy's face and think it's those or some shit. But this is a little fucky. And what I wanted to actually get at with you guys, because I think you guys would probably know more about this. What I want to know is, this is AI. Someone is behind the scenes at Google, at Microsoft, at Bing that is programming and that's writing the code for this AI, right? Yeah. And if AI can be co-opted by anybody that wants to portray anybody or anything as whatever it may not be, that's fucking alarming. If AI could be co-opted, I mean, think about what they could do.
They got no ethics. They got no ethics. No ethics.
Well, so generally, when this AI is created, usually the company itself, they have the back door. It's going to be very difficult for really anyone to get in. But I don't know if you guys have heard of any of the older ones where they actually tried to make it like an AI that learns from the people it talked to. Famous one is like Tay AI. That was put on Twitter, and she became like Hitler, and it was hilarious. It was some of the funniest shit. But it always happens where people like mess with the AI, and the AI becomes kind of based. So a lot of the times now, because these companies, they adhere to a certain ideology and they don't want their AI to do these certain things, they basically, like I said, they lobotomize it. They make it so it's not really an AI anymore. It's just an input-output machine.
Exactly.
And it doesn't learn anything. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just going to generate whatever they might think they think they want you to see.
Dave, wasn't it? I forget which one it was. It was on Podcast of Lotus Eaters. They talked about it where the AI just became racist.
There was an AI
racist and just like started.
So hold up. There was an AI that was created to tell jokes. It was created to have conversation, created to tell jokes, and they were trying to get it to tell jokes, and it was like, okay, a Muslim walks into a bar, ... like finish the joke. And these jokes would finish with like, oh, a Muslim walks in a bar, 7 were killed. Muslim walks in a bar, it was blown up immediately. The AI was just ending it like that. It was doing that most of the time. And they even had the AI try to make a play. And they gave it like certain characters, like Muslim characters and stuff like that. The Muslim characters, like 70% of the time, would be the villains and be killers. Like the AI is just doing what it does with the input it's given. And I mean, that was just freeform. That was just the data that it had.
It's so good.
It's crazy.
Let's talk about hold on. Once being that we're on the topic of Muslims, I want to get your guys' opinion. I'd like to know, okay, Alex, where were you on 9/11?
9/11, I was in 7th grade. And the crazy part was when 9/11 occurred in our 7th grade class, I was in a small borough, Lakehurst, which is actually where the Hindenburg went down, Lakehurst, New Jersey. And I lived there as a borough of our town, Manchester, that we overall lived in. And we always had like a morning thing. Like, the TV would be on. We'd watch like a little bit, like they do like a little morning thing. And I remember that when the first plane hit, everyone didn't know what the fuck was going on, right? Most people thought it was an accident, that something went wrong, right? That was like the big thing before. So my teacher thought it was a good current event moment, put the TV on. And we were like watching it, and it was like, it was concerning, right? Like she said, like, anyone that works in the World Trade Center, like I'd understand. And all of us were like, no, none of our parents work in World Trade Center. So she turned it on. I watched live the second plane hit on TV in school. And it was at that point that she was just like, okay. And then like not too long, like that obviously confirmed it was a terrorist attack. So I have like a vivid memory of watching it And like I remember too, I think it was like CBS that she got on or something like that. Absolutely, no, it was CNN. It was CNN that we were watching it on. Just watching the plane hit the thing. It's surreal. Like it's burned into my memory.
You know, okay, so on 9/11, I remember I was actually in ninth grade. It was my first year of high school, and we were in Westchester County. We were in Mamaroneck at the time, and I went to my first period class, which was maybe homeroom, something like that. I don't quite remember exactly, but some bullshit, like that. And I went to my second period class, and I want to say it was in my second period class when the attack had happened. And I walked into the class, and this was the 90s, early 2000s. So a lot of the schools at the time, we didn't have fucking smart boards. Okay, we had a PA system. We had the Pledge of Allegiance, stand up, you fuck. Okay, and then every room had the old school analog, boob tube in it up on, like the bar TVs on the
Yep.
the little,
That's
like
exactly what we had. Like the little like standing, like they were like the
right,
little square small ones that were on like the metal casing. Yeah.
exactly, all 32 inches in high definition for 1994.
Now they're
So
used for quick draw.
oh yeah. And so I went in there, and the TV was on, and the teacher was nowhere to be found. Like the teacher was gone, and the TV was on, and the kids were all standing around watching this thing. And I didn't really know what the fuck was going on. So I just walked out of the classroom, and I was in the hallway walking with some friends, just bullshitting. Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe like the teacher didn't show up to work or something. And I bumped into a stoner kid. Okay, I'll never forget this kid, Richard Scudder. If you're out there, you were a stoner in the high school, you fuck. But anyway, just your typical Abercrombie and Fitch, Birkenstock. My family, we go to Turks and Caicos when we're not in Hyannisport for the summer type shit. But anyway, real waspy kid. Anyway, he was like in his Birkenstock. He was like, yeah, so man, a plane flew into this building in the city. And like in my mind, I'm in ninth grade, dude. So like basically 16. I'm thinking like it's a fucking Cessna. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm thinking a little Piper Cub, because I remember when
That happened. Didn't that happen once before? Didn't a plane go into the World Trade Center once?
I think it was a little Cessna that hit it. And it was like an actual
Like 70s?
accident.
So again, coming from, again, the early 2000s, late 90s, I remember JFK Jr. when his plane went down in the Long Island Sound off of Hyannisport. So in my mind, when they're talking plane crash, I'm thinking this is a fucking Cessna. It's that point that I went to my next class, and the teachers and the kids were all watching the TV, and we saw the second plane hit. And school was just shut down. Like they told everyone, evacuate the building, go home to your family. I walked home from school. I lived probably it was probably a 15-minute walk to my high school. So I just walked home. Excuse me. And, at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, David, maybe if you remember, but when this had happened, we had no TV. Okay, our communication was shut down. Like when you turned on, if you had Cablevision or if you had Dish Network, there was no TV. Like it was just PBS, ABC. It was 24-hour news coverage of the terrorist attack.
Yeah.
There was no television. Like there was no Nick at Night. There was no Cartoon Network. Like every channel you would turn to was just, I don't remember exactly, but it was maybe 4 or 5 public broadcasting networks that were just broadcasting the World Trade Center catastrophe, the terrorist attack. And the crazy thing is, and you guys might remember this because you were in Jersey, okay?
Yep.
That night and like the next week after that, every night, okay, I could hear choppers and I could hear the jets flying over. They were doing constant patrols of the island of Manhattan. Did you guys hear them?
We didn't because we were by Seaside, but my uncle George worked on the Port Elizabeth, on the Elizabeth seaport there. He watched both planes fly overhead and had a bird's eye view. Physically saw both planes fly across the water and hit the World Trade Center, which is crazy. And what I remember vividly out of that time too is, I mean, David, you were like 5 when that happened, right? So your memory is very,
Yeah, I don't like have a lot
yeah,
of
you
memory.
have
Though
very
apparently I
little.
was in North Jersey because we went to go visit. I was with no
Oh,
visiting. So
okay.
I can't
But
remember who it was.
but so what I remember is after all that happened, do you guys remember watching Operation Shock and Awe on TV? Like every network had us bombing the fuck out of them in the initial hit. And it was in a green screen and you would just see the white streams bombing it. And it was like a video game. And like we watched the opening stage of that war, which I found to be like, now looking back at it, such a bizarre thing, right? Because like, could you imagine right now them televising us actually going to war right now? Like they try to hide that. They try to hide what our drones are doing. Like we get news later. They
Right.
televised. And I don't think there's ever been something like that. Like obviously they followed them during the Vietnam War with the journalists and things like that. But like actually televising a bomb strike, I thought like, and now I think back at it, I'm like, and I remember sitting in my parents' bedroom, sitting down on the floor, watching their TV, and my mom and dad, and just and that's all it was. It looked like an MS-DOS program, but it was like Operation Shock and Awe commences. And I
Right.
remember watching, I'm like, and now thinking back, I'm like, that's fucking crazy that we watched the beginning of the Iraq War.
Yeah, yeah. And the biggest kick in it all was that, after that whole thing went down, there was an immense. I kind of compare 9/11 to Pearl Harbor. Okay, December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was attacked, and all of a sudden we had. Just a fucking overnight light switch came on where everyone was a patriot, everyone was waving the flag,
And
everyone
every
was
Japanese person was the enemy, and they
Fuck
interned them and they
motherfuckers.
put them in camps.
That's right. Fuck them. And so, the only good jab was a dead jab. That's what,
That was the time.
my grandpa, I call him my grandpa. He was a very good friend of mine, a mentor growing up Orville. He was a World War II veteran. And he used to say the only good jab was a dead jab. No disrespect to the modern Japanese people, but that's what he would say. So I compare our 9/11, it's a modern Pearl Harbor, essentially. And after that, it seemed like immediately after that, that song, God Bless the USA, by that country singer.
Somewhere he's still singing it.
Bilbo Baggin, whatever his name is. The guy,
I know. Cray Unleashed, they always make that joke. They always make the joke that he's somewhere still singing it.
Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood is still singing it somewhere.
It is a
that song was on 24-hour replay for
And
fucking
Toby Keith, courtesy of Red, White, and Blue. That
Curtis-
got massive, dude. That was big. He wrote it for that.
and I hate to say it, fellas, but I feel like it's almost as if our country has came so far from that point. Like we're so divided as a nation, and I just feel like we're just at a point right now where it's going to take another attack, another domestic attack, to really unite us and for us to really say, all right, listen, let's stop the bullshit.
But Danny, is it?
Right.
Is it though? Because we just saw an outright terrorist attack on some of our closest allies in Israel. And there are people protesting Israel in the streets every single day about Palestine. And
I
that
know.
is something that back, in the 90s, Israel gets attacked. Our country is behind Israel. We stand with them. And that there was almost no question. You had some people that were for, Palestine and things like that, and the Palestinian people. But now there's such a large movement of it. I don't even think an attack on the homeland would work. I don't think there is something that, if something like that occurs, unless they bomb Taylor Swift, that might be the only fucking thing that people would rally around. Like if they bomb a Taylor Swift concert, that's it. That's the only thing.
Alex,
Yeah. So G, what about, so this is a good chance to jump into, the culture war. Dave and I, we definitely pay attention a lot to this stuff. And it looks like the culture war is slowly starting to shift back in the direction of some sanity, right? We're starting to see some people point out that Hollywood and music is all demonic and bullshit. And that, we've known about it, but now it's getting put out to light. People are starting to come out and say things.
Not only is it demonic and bullshit, it's fucking boring. It's
terrible,
not
too.
even at least interesting demonic
All the
bullshit.
woke stuff. Yeah, and people are pushing back. Like you're seeing the superhero movies are putting in all this woke nonsense and making no money now. They're taking losses. From your perspective, Giuliano, do you see that the pendulum is kind of swinging back towards the side of sanity. Like the woke Marxists have gone, they put all their chips in, they've gone a little too far, and now it's coming back in the other way?
I definitely think it is, without a doubt. I see it every day. I see people that whether they're friends, people I know, people I deal with in business, people have fucking had enough.
Mm-hmm.
People just have had enough of this shit. I mean, how much bullshit can you really feed people before even the most, cucked fucking, limp-wristed fucking guy is going to turn around and say, this is bullshit, Well,
those guys are now girls, basically. Those same guys are now girls, so.
Those people, yeah, I mean, you're always going to have people that they got their own problems. But I do think the pendulum is definitely swinging. And I see it a lot also with the younger generation.
Yeah.
Like I see it a lot more with these younger kids, and I think the younger kids are even a little bit. I sometimes I see them and I'm like, holy fucking shit! Like this kid is talking like our parents did, and whereas it took maybe all of us, into our 20s. I mean, we were all probably smart. We grew up with conservative and.
I was a Rush baby. My dad had Rush Limbaugh on all the time, so I've been this way for too long.
But I think you're seeing like these fucking 5 or 7-year-old kids that are like fucking little whippersnappers and they're little patriots, and I do think it is going in another direction, and I also think that that's why you're seeing the opposition becoming more emboldened.
Yeah,
right. They're pouring more money in.
Giuliano, real quick, Danny, we talked about this today. I think I mentioned it to you that it's now the popular thing is to be a woke nonsense, right? So kids are going to push back against that. They don't want to do what's cool. They want to be counterculture. So what's counterculture? Being based, being a traditionalist, not wanting your girlfriend to be a whore before you date her. Like these things, wanting to and sitting there and hearing oh, toxic masculinity is bad. Okay, I'm going to be toxic masculine then. Going back to these things because kids push back against what the dominant culture is. And the woke have presented themselves as this marginalized culture, and as they take over more and more and try to reinvent themselves, right? Because first it was feminism, then women started to get rights, then it was gay rights. Okay, now gay people are starting to get rights, so now we got to go to trans. And the thing with the Marxist revolution is it's always a revolution.
Never ending.
Once that thing becomes accepted in the status quo, find a new revolution. And
exactly.
J.K. Rowling's a perfect example. I don't agree with anything political with J.K. Rowling. She's a radical leftist feminist, but she likes women, and she's in there, and that because she believes women are women, all of a sudden she's not left enough, and she gets ripped by the trans people, and it's
right. And she was actually hitting back, and I think it's good for her.
She hits back every time, and it's only a matter of time before she gets red-pilled.
I'm a Harry Potter fan.
Me too.
Everybody knows it.
Except Dumbledore's gay, and he's not. I thought that was ridiculous. He made Dumbledore gay.
By the way, we love fags for those listening. We'll say that.
Did I say fag?
No, but
unless we bleeped his ass out. Yes, we did.
No, we got nothing against gay people here.
We love
Harry Potter. But I don't agree with what the lady fucking. But it's also funny, right? Because when you see people like J.K. Rowling, who are these adamant leftists, they're getting their shit pushed in by these people who are even more hardcore, and now they're becoming on our side, essentially.
But the thing about JK is, she's doing the right thing. You can't be canceled unless you allow yourself to be. So she's constantly just pushing back against it. And, and that's why the new Harry Potter show, the people feel emboldened to allow her to be involved, right? Because they know that she's not going to sit there and capitulate and apologize and do all this stuff, because the moment you apologize is the moment they win.
I mean, bro, look what they
never apologize.
Once George Lucas got out of Star Wars, it became all
over Red Rover.
Well, I mean, South Park had it perfect with Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, make it lame, put a chick in it, and make it gay. Put a chick in it, make it gay and lame. That's exactly what they're doing in Disney with everything.
South Park is hilarious, and you see shit. I like how I give them credit at least. Like, I don't really watch it. Some of it is stupid. I'm sure some of it is funny, but I at least give those guys credit for having the balls to make fun of shit where they see it.
Yeah, they're the best current event show of all time. And so I don't know if you guys saw, this is a little bit out of left field. They're recreating the X-Men cartoon. I don't know if either of you guys used to watch the old X-Men cartoon in the late 90s. I used to love it. It was one of like the best like animated superhero cartoons. They're bringing it back. They took away Rogue's boobs and ass, which is terrible because she was animated amazingly. And then they made a character morph non-binary. That was never a part of him.
It's gonna bomb. It's gonna bomb.
Instant shit. Dog shit. Dog shit.
It's gonna be dog
shit. Why would they take the tits and ass out? What do they got to get tits and ass?
I don't know. And Rogue is always supposed to be the curvy, vivacious, like kind of vixen type of character. And
it's gonna be dog shit.
I'll probably watch an episode or so just to watch them ruin my childhood some more. But
there's definitely some fucker in there that is like on the directing cast that's like, oh yeah, like we're gonna make her fucking look like a man and have a dick or some shit, you know, just to fuck over all those.
I can't wait till Wolverine,
you know what I mean,
start making out. Like Wolverine and Gambit are going to start making out or something, or Wolverine's going to be gay. Like they're going to have to sit there and make the most masculine guy there, or Beast. They'll make Beast gay, David. What do you think? A bookworm homosexual? That's what they'll do.
They're going to make Gambit gay.
If they make Gambit gay, I'll be pissed because you know that. You know why. He's my favorite X-Man.
Yeah, that's why I said
it. They're killing themselves, man. They're digging their own graves because more and more people are just going to be like, bro, this is ass. Like, you know. This is bullshit.
God, Danny.
I do a quick shout out to Aberfeldy. Okay, this is a very good single malt Scotch whiskey from the Irish Highlands. So I just want to do a quick shout out to Aberfeldy. This is great stuff, guys. I am going to definitely give you guys a bottle of it.
We need that sponsor.
If you're single malt Scotch whiskey, this is a great 12-year-old Scotch, and it just pairs so nicely with you fellas with a perfectly healthy conservative conversation. It's just amazingly. So just want to give a little shout out to Aberfeldy.
And just so everyone know, Aberfeldy is not a sponsor on this program. We do not have a single sponsor on this program.
They should. But they should.
Certainly should. But yeah, so overall, so I'm just gonna jump in real quick. Danny, how do you think the culture war is going? We got Giuliano's opinion. He thinks it's coming back. Do you see it the same way? Do you think it's kind of coming back into the direction of sanity? Or do you see it tipping to a point where it's going to, like you said, there might have to be an attack to kind of get it back to sanity? Do you think we're getting there? Or do we need something extreme like a civil war, like a world war to kind of get things back on track?
I mean, you know, people say this. People say this to me. There's going to be a civil war in this country. And I have to be frank and honest. I don't see an actual civil war, okay? And what I mean by that is, boots on the ground, rifles and arms. I don't see a civil war coming because at this point in time, there are no generals, okay? There are no sides. It's not a North and a South thing anymore because, there are many blue areas in the South. We'll take Richmond, Virginia. We'll take Atlanta, Georgia. There's quite a few southern states that are very blue leaning.
What do you say for the 25 states, half the country that sided with Texas in this border dispute? That's a scary moment where you have literally half the country's governors supporting a state. And I didn't think we'd get to a point where we would see something that legit. To me, that is a step in the direction of something potentially going on. And I think I mentioned this to you and Giuliano. A civil war is not going to be, like you said, boots on the ground. What it's going to be is a skirmish, things going on here, and us going to work every day and watching the TV and going, the Union and the Separatists are fighting in Seattle again. There's casualties there. Like, we're going to continue living our lives. We're going to spend $10 on gas. We're going to spend $13 on bread, but we're still going to go to work every day because it's not going to be at everybody's doorstep.
Right.
So, I agree.
I just don't see it coming to that. What I do see is that, states are stepping up to give the finger to the federal government, to give the finger to the current administration. I don't know how that's going to play out in regards to federal funding that they're going to give, because see, okay, let's take Katrina. okay, when Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, okay, Shreveport, that whole state, okay, it hit, and the federal government did send federal funds, relief funds for the victims, for the damage, etc. Okay, now that Louisiana jumps on the bandwagon of Texas, which I don't know if they have or haven't, but to
I
turn
believe
around,
they did.
I think they did. Okay, and now they're thumbing their nose basically at Washington. This is just again, it's a tug of war, between the states. I really don't think it's going to come down to an actual, again, boots on the ground thing. I think it's just a trial and tribulation, kind of like a marriage. It's a give and take. One takes a stand, the other takes a stand. And I'm sure that the paid for politicians are going to find a middle of the road to fucking settle it at. You know what I mean? I think that's what it's going to come down to. I don't think there's going to be a civil war. I don't think there's going to be boots on the ground. I think that, there are class wars that are going on. Certainly, there's culture wars that are going on. We have right wing, we have middle of the road, we have alt rights, we have right wing. That's certainly not going anywhere. That's been here forever. Okay, it's been here since the Federalists and the Republicans and the Democrats. I mean, this is something that goes back to the Jeffersonians, right? So. We're always going to have the political, skirmishes, but I really don't think there's going to be a civil war. I think that a lot of people are kind of waking up to this pill that we've been fed in the form of wokeism, right? And I think that even big business is catching on. I mean, I think Snow White, the remake of Snow White, was complete shit. It burned and died a bad death. Big
The diversity hires.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Disney is realizing it. I think American television and broadcasting companies are realizing it.
Yep.
I think Hollywood Hollywood has really realized that, you go woke, you go broke. I mean, I think the first time I heard that, Trump coined that term. And it's just that, compounded with the fact that we have people coming. Listen, we have an illegal immigration problem in this country. They're coming here by the boatload. These people are running here, literally running here. Now, listen, I'm not for illegal immigration. But what I will tell you is that the people that are coming here, the vast majority that are taking their time to walk here or pay coyotes to get into this country and get smuggled in here illegally, these are people that just want a better future for their children. I'm not condoning them. I'm not saying that they're right.
You were right maybe a few years ago.
I
don't think it's the same people.
Would you agree that a good 60 to 70% of them want to come here for a better future? You don't think so?
I think it's a lot of I think it's a lot of males around our age, military age fighting males that are coming over, not just from Mexico, from Africa, from the Middle East, from China. The apprehensions of just the Chinese alone, they've gone for. So I was at our local in New York district committee meeting for Republicans, and one of the individuals running, Allison Esposito, cited that there has been a 4,000% uptick in Chinese nationals coming across the border. 4,000% uptick of illegal Chinese nationals. And they're military age men. So where I agree with you, maybe okay, 5-10 years ago, you might have been right. Now it's not.
Okay, but let's talk about this for a second. Okay, you said Chinese nationals. Okay, let's break down. What does that really mean? A Chinese national? That's someone from China that got smuggled here on a fucking on a shrimping boat in Mexico, right? Okay, now let's think about this. Why are they coming? Why are they here?
Why?
If China is so great. If the yen is so powerful, and if the life that they live in China is so great, why are they fucking running here?
I think that it's because the government's sending them here.
You think that the government is sending them here To what? To become spies? To see what's going on our American streets? I mean, they have
potentially plan an attack.
believe me, the Chinese see exactly what American culture is, what's trending. They see that. They don't need to send people here to see that. So, you know, I agree with you that some of them might be here in some kind of a covert operation, like some kind of a James Bond thing to infiltrate America's homeland and see whatever they can. But, you know, there has to be a portion that are coming here just because they want to come here for a better life for themselves and for their children, possibly potential children.
You're a nicer guy than me. You're a nicer guy than me, assuming that.
I mean, you know, I can't help but look at things from the perspective as a father, right? I have a son. My son is 3 years old. I have another son on the way. All right, in May/June. And, you know, I look at things now that I'm married and I'm a dad. I look at things a little bit different, right? Because I don't have the luxury to just spend money on every which little thing. You know, I can't just get in my car and, you know, go to the seaside for the weekend. I can't do that. I have responsibilities, as you do. Okay. Yep. And, you know, when I see these pictures of, you know, of a husband, a wife, and 2 or 3 kids, you know, coming over, you know, again, I'm sure some of them are here for the wrong reasons, but I'm just willing. I think that a large portion of them are coming here for a better life. I'm not saying they deserve to stay here. I'm not saying I agree with how they come here, but you know, it's a crisis that we have. You had mentioned it before. We have a problem with the cartels in South America, a huge problem. We have cartels that literally tell the government what to do. Okay, we have cartels that wipe out whole towns and villages. So personally, I feel like the next frontier, the next war is going to be fought between American special forces and these cartels, essentially. I think we need to go into South America and liberate the people from these cartels and these overlords and drug lords that have been, you know, just decimating these populations and enslaving people. Again, enslaving people, right? Yep. They're making them drug runners. You see something, say something. You tell it. That movie Desperado, everyone's on the take, right? That was based on a true story. Okay, so that is our next frontier. You know what I mean? My thinking, let's go to Mexico. Let's work a deal out with Mexico. Listen, we're going to send the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines into Mexico. Okay, we are going to wipe out the cartels in the area. We're going to instill a police state to control the flow of the gang violence and everything, okay? And in return, listen, you're going to give up a little land. You're going to leave up a little bit. Baja, Mexico, you're going to give up. You're going to give up Tijuana. You're going to give up some border towns, all right? You're going to give up some raw materials, the Rio Grande, right? Let's make a deal. I mean, do you think that could be a possibility?
I mean, I think you'll get a lot of pushback from the big libertarians at this point with that. I think the libertarians are so non-interventionalist, they don't want to do that. They wouldn't want to do anything that would push the federal government to do anything like that. So, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you on basically all that. But unfortunately, we are going to have to end this show because we have gone on and I don't want to take everyone's time all night. But gentlemen, I had lots of fun. Danny, Giuliano, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, you, brother.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Alex.
Man.
So Giuliano, any last words before we jump out of here?
Fuck, man. No, listen to everybody that did tune in tonight. Thank you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys maybe had some thought-provoking, you know, thoughts come up. And that's it, bro. Thank you. Thanks for having us, guys.
We have to make this a two-parter, a to be continued.
Absolutely. You guys will definitely come back on. Danny, before we jump out of here, anything you got to say?
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like, subscribe, tell your fuckhead friends about the Alex Cuesta Show, the greatest show on YouTube. All right. The man knows what he's talking about. There's no bullshit in this show. So please like, subscribe, tell your dickhead friends to tune in. And this is going to be a two-parter because I'm not finished yet.
I love it. David, what do you got? You got anything?
I got the
Now you're
issue
useless.
that I am looking at figurines that I want to buy. That's my issue right now.
Excellent.
You're you. You are a unicorn of a human.
Hey man, you gotta be what you gotta be, you know.
Absolutely. So yeah, once again,
All right,
thank you
boys.
guys for coming on. I appreciate it. If everyone liked what they heard, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify, and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. I think our new phrase is going to be "Tell your dickhead friends." That might have to be it. Tell
That's
your
a
dickhead
tagline.
friends. That's the tagline. Tell your dickhead friends. I think that might be it. And go find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. We'll be back next week. We have another great show coming up. Everyone, thanks for listening.